Picture this. You're having coffee with a man who seems interested. He's asking questions, making eye contact, and the conversation flows naturally. But here's what most women over 60 miss. While you're analyzing his words, his body is telling you a completely different story. And sign number 4, 83% of men cannot hide it, even when they're trying to play it cool. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, and more importantly, you'll never second-guess his intentions again. Before we dive in, let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered if a man was genuinely interested or just being polite? Have you caught yourself over-analyzing text messages or reading too much into casual conversations? If you're nodding right now, you're not alone. Today, we're decoding the unmistakable signs that tell you he's already yours, whether he's said it out loud or not. Welcome back to The Heart Code, where we unlock the psychology of love, relationships, and human connection specifically for women who understand that life's most beautiful chapters often begin after 60. I'm so glad you're here today, because what we're covering is going to change the way you view dating, relationships, and male behavior forever. If this is your first time on the channel, welcome to our community. We're a group of wise, experienced women who refuse to settle for breadcrumbs and who understand that genuine connection is not only possible after 60, it's often more fulfilling than ever before. We dive deep into relationship psychology, decode male behavior, and empower you with knowledge that transforms your love life. Now, before we get started, I have a small request. If you find value in this content, if something resonates with you, or if you learn something new today, please show your support by hitting that like button. It truly helps this content reach more women who need to hear this message. Leave a comment below sharing your thoughts or experiences. Your stories inspire this entire community, and I read every single comment. Share this video with a friend who might benefit from understanding these signs. And if you haven't already, subscribe to The Heart Code and turn on notifications so you never miss our weekly deep dives into the psychology of mature relationships. And here's something special. If you really want to support the growth of this channel and help us create more in-depth content like this, consider leaving a super thanks. Your generosity allows us to invest in research, better production, and ultimately, better content for you. Every contribution, no matter the size, means the world to us and directly supports this mission of empowering women over 60. All right, let's get into it. Today, we're exploring something fascinating: the unmistakable signs that a man over 60 is genuinely interested in you. Signs so powerful that even when he's trying to hide his feelings, his behavior gives him away. And sign number 4. It's backed by research showing that 83% of men simply cannot conceal it. But we're not just scratching the surface here. We're going deep into the psychology, the neuroscience, and the real-world applications of this knowledge. Understanding the landscape of love after 60. Let's start with some context. Dating after 60 is fundamentally different from dating at any other life stage, and understanding this difference is crucial. By the time we reach 60, we've accumulated decades of life experience, relationship history, and self-knowledge. We've likely loved and lost, built and rebuilt, and we know ourselves in ways our younger selves never could. Research from the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships reveals something fascinating. Older adults approach relationships with what researchers call socio-emotional selectivity. Essentially, as we age, we become more selective about who we spend our time with, prioritizing emotional meaning over superficial connections. This means that when a man over 60 shows interest in you, it's rarely casual. He's not looking to play games or waste time. His interest is deliberate, considered, and meaningful. But here's where it gets interesting. Despite this increased intentionality, many men over 60 struggle to express their feelings directly. Why? Several reasons. First, their generation was often taught that emotional vulnerability equals weakness. Second, past relationship wounds may have made them cautious about putting their hearts on the line. Third, societal expectations around masculinity still influence behavior, even in their 60s and beyond. This creates a fascinating dynamic. A man is genuinely interested, deeply interested, but he may not say it outright. Instead, his interest manifests through behaviors, patterns, and signs that, once you know what to look for, are impossible to miss. And that's exactly what we're uncovering today. Sign number 1. He remembers the details. The first unmistakable sign that you already have him is his remarkable memory for details about you. And I'm not talking about remembering your birthday or your children's names. I'm talking about the small, seemingly insignificant details that most people forget moments after hearing them. He remembers that you mentioned loving the smell of jasmine when you walked past a garden 3 weeks ago. He recalls that you prefer your coffee with a splash of almond milk, not regular milk. He brings up the book you casually mentioned wanting to read. He asks about the outcome of your dentist appointment you mentioned in passing. He remembers the name of your childhood dog, the street you grew up on, and the teacher who influenced your career choice. Why is this significant? Because memory is selective, especially as we age. The human brain, particularly the male brain after 60, doesn't retain random information without reason. Neurologically speaking, when we're interested in someone romantically, our brain prioritizes information about that person. The hippocampus, responsible for memory formation, becomes hyperactive when processing details about someone we're attracted to. Research from UCLA found that when men are genuinely interested in a romantic partner, their retention of details about that person increases by up to 67% compared to their retention of general information. This isn't conscious. He's not sitting there taking notes. His brain is automatically flagging everything about you as important because you matter to him. But here's the deeper psychology. When a man remembers details, he's demonstrating several things simultaneously. First, he's present during your conversations. He's not just waiting for his turn to talk or thinking about something else. He's genuinely engaged with you. Second, he's invested in knowing you at a deeper level. He wants to understand what makes you tick, what brings you joy, what matters to you. Third, he's already envisioning a future where these details are relevant. He's remembering your preferences because he sees himself in scenarios where that knowledge will be useful. Let me give you a real-world example. Maria, a 62-year-old widow, started dating Tom after meeting at a community gardening club. During their first coffee date, she casually mentioned that her mother used to make lavender shortbread cookies and the smell always made her nostalgic. 2 weeks later, Tom invited her over for tea. When she arrived, he'd made lavender shortbread cookies from scratch. He'd never baked before in his life, but he'd researched recipes, practiced twice, and made them specifically because he remembered that detail. Maria realized in that moment that his interest wasn't casual. He was already invested. Now contrast this with men who aren't genuinely interested. They forget what you tell them. They ask the same questions repeatedly because they weren't paying attention the first time. They confuse your stories with someone else's. Their lack of memory retention isn't necessarily disrespectful. It's simply indicative of where their attention and interest truly lie. When a man over 60 remembers the details, especially the small, personal, emotional details, you already have him. His brain has decided you're worth remembering, and that decision happens at a level beyond conscious control. Sign number 2, he makes time consistently. The second sign is deceptively simple, but profoundly revealing. He makes time for you, and he does it consistently. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Of course, interested people make time. But let's dig deeper because the quality and consistency of this time-making behavior reveal everything. By 60, most people have full lives. Grown children, grandchildren, hobbies, social commitments, health appointments, friendships, routines. Life is structured and full. Free time is precious and limited. So when a man over 60 consistently carves out time for you, he's making a deliberate choice about his priorities. But here's the key distinction. He doesn't just make time when it's convenient. He rearranges his schedule. He moves things around. He finds pockets of time you didn't think existed. He calls you during his lunch break. He suggests breakfast meetings because his evenings are packed. He offers to accompany you on errands just to spend time together. He's creative about creating opportunities to be with you. Research from the University of Texas studied dating behaviors in older adults and found something remarkable. When men over 60 are seriously interested in a romantic partner, they demonstrate what researchers call priority reallocation. This means they actively shift their time priorities, sometimes reducing time spent on long-standing hobbies or social commitments to make room for the new relationship. This isn't about unhealthy obsession. It's about recognizing that something valuable has entered their life and they want to nurture it. Let me share an example. Patricia, a 67-year-old retired teacher, met Robert at a local book club. Robert had been attending the same golf league every Saturday morning for 15 years. It was sacred time with his longtime friends. But after meeting Patricia, he started suggesting Saturday morning breakfasts or walks. When she expressed concern about his golf time, he simply said, "Golf's been there for 15 years. It'll still be there. I'd rather be with you." That statement, backed by consistent action, told Patricia everything she needed to know about his interest level. Now, let's talk about consistency because this is crucial. Anyone can make time once. Interested people make time consistently. He doesn't disappear for weeks and then reappear with excuses. He doesn't cancel plans repeatedly. He doesn't make you feel like you're competing for his attention. Instead, there's a pattern. You hear from him regularly. You see him regularly. The rhythm of your connection is steady and reliable. Psychologically, consistency in time investment reveals something powerful about emotional investment. When we invest time consistently in someone, we're building what psychologists call relational capital. We're creating shared experiences, inside jokes, memories, and emotional bonds. A man who invests time consistently is a man who's building towards something. He's not keeping his options open or hedging his bets. He's investing in you specifically. Contrast this with men who are lukewarm or unsure. They make time sporadically. They're available when it suits them, but unavailable when it doesn't. They suggest vague plans but don't follow through. They're present but not consistent. This inconsistency reveals ambivalence, and ambivalence at 60 plus is usually a sign to walk away. When a man over 60 makes time for you consistently, rearranging his life to accommodate you, he's sending a clear message. You're a priority, you matter, and that level of behavioral commitment tells you that you already have him, whether he's said the words or not. Sign number 3, he introduces you to his inner circle. The third unmistakable sign is that he introduces you to his inner circle, and he does it relatively early in the relationship. Now, by inner circle, I mean the people who truly matter to him. His close friends, his family, his children or grandchildren if he has them, the people whose opinions he values. Why is this so significant? Because at 60 plus, people are protective of their inner circles. These are relationships built over decades, tested by time, and deeply valued. Introducing a new romantic interest into this circle is not something done lightly. It's a statement. It's him saying, "This person is important to me, and I want the people I love to know her. But let's go deeper into the psychology. When a man introduces you to his inner circle, several dynamics are at play. First, he's seeking social validation. He wants his trusted people to see what he sees in you. He wants their approval, not because he needs permission, but because their opinions matter to him, and he hopes they'll recognize what he already knows, that you're special. Second, he's integrating you into his life structure. He's not keeping you separate from the rest of his existence. He's weaving you into the fabric of his daily life. Third, he's making a public statement about his intentions. Once his inner circle knows about you, there's social accountability. He's not keeping you a secret or keeping his options open. He's openly declaring his interest. Research from the Journal of Family Psychology found that older adults who introduce romantic partners to family and friends within the first 3 months of dating report significantly higher relationship satisfaction and longevity compared to those who delay introductions or keep relationships private. Why? Because early integration indicates genuine interest and serious intent. Let me give you a powerful example. Susan, a 64-year-old divorcee, started dating Michael after meeting at a volunteer event. Within 6 weeks, Michael invited her to his grandson's birthday party. This was significant for several reasons. First, it meant his family already knew about her. He'd been talking about her. Second, he was comfortable having her in a family setting, meeting his children and grandchildren. Third, he wanted her involved in important family moments. When Susan expressed surprise at the early invitation, Michael said something profound. He said, "At our age, why waste time? I know how I feel, and I want my family to know the woman who's made me happier than I've been in years." That level of openness and integration told Susan everything about his seriousness. Now, let's contrast this with men who aren't genuinely invested. They keep you separate. Months go by, and you haven't met anyone important in their life. They make excuses about timing or say their family is complicated. They're available for private dates, but never public events. They don't post about you on social media if they use it. They compartmentalize you, keeping you in a separate box from the rest of their life. This compartmentalization reveals several possibilities. Maybe he's not sure about the relationship. Maybe he's still hung up on someone else. Maybe he's keeping his options open. Or maybe he's not emotionally available for a genuine partnership. Whatever the reason, the lack of integration is a red flag. When a man over 60 introduces you to his inner circle early and proudly, when he integrates you into his social life, when he publicly acknowledges your importance, you already have him. He's not just dating you. He's envisioning a life where you're a permanent part of his world. Sign number 4. His body language mirrors yours. Now we arrive at sign number 4, the sign that 83% of men over 60 cannot hide, even when they're trying to play it cool. His body language mirrors yours. This is subconscious, involuntary, and incredibly revealing. Let me explain what mirroring is and why it's so significant. Mirroring, also called the chameleon effect in psychology, occurs when one person unconsciously imitates the gestures, speech patterns, or attitudes of another. When two people are emotionally connected, or when one person is attracted to another, their bodies naturally synchronize. Here's what this looks like in practice. You lean forward. He leans forward. You cross your legs. Moments later, he crosses his. You touch your hair. He touches his face. You use a particular phrase. He starts using it too. You speak softly. His voice lowers to match. You laugh. He laughs. Your breathing rhythms synchronize. When you're walking together, your steps fall into the same pace. Why does this happen? Neuroscience provides fascinating answers. Mirror. Neurons discovered in the 1990s are brain cells that activate both when we perform an action and when we observe someone else performing that action. These neurons are the foundation of empathy, emotional connection, and social bonding. When we're attracted to someone romantically, our mirror neuron system goes into overdrive, causing us to unconsciously mimic their behavior. Research from Stanford University, published in the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology, studied mirroring behavior in romantic contexts across different age groups. The findings were remarkable. They found that when men are genuinely attracted to a romantic interest, they mirror the other person's body language 83% of the time during face-to-face interactions. This percentage is significantly higher than general social mirroring, which occurs only about 30 to 40% of the time. Here's why this 83% statistic is so powerful. Mirroring at this level is nearly impossible to fake consistently. A man might be able to control his words, manage his facial expressions, or even regulate some conscious body language. But sustaining mirroring at 83% across an entire conversation, across multiple interactions, that's neurologically driven, not consciously controlled. His brain is doing this automatically because it's attuned to you, focused on you, connected to you. Let me give you a detailed example. Margaret, a 61-year-old widow, went on several dates with Daniel, a 65-year-old retired architect. She wasn't sure about his interest level because he was somewhat reserved verbally, but her daughter, who's a therapist, suggested she pay attention to his body language. During their next coffee date, Margaret started observing. When she leaned back in her chair, Daniel leaned back within seconds. When she placed her hands on the table, he did the same. When she tilted her head while listening, he mirrored the gesture. When she lowered her voice, his volume decreased to match. By the end of the date, Margaret realized that their entire conversation had been a dance of synchronized movement. Daniel's words might have been cautious, but his body was broadcasting loud and clear that he was completely tuned into her. But let's go even deeper into what mirroring reveals psychologically. When someone mirrors you, they're demonstrating several things simultaneously. First, they're paying intense attention to you. Their focus is on you, not on their phone, not on the environment, not on other people. Second, they're subconsciously trying to build rapport. Our brains mirror people we like, people we want to connect with. It's a bonding mechanism. Third, they're comfortable with you. Mirroring happens when people feel at ease, when their guard is down, when they're genuinely present. Fourth, they're emotionally invested. The level of mirroring correlates directly with the level of emotional interest. Now, here's how to test for this if you're uncertain. Try subtle changes and observe. Shift your posture and see if he follows. Change your speaking pace and notice if he adjusts. Use a specific word or phrase repeatedly and watch if he starts incorporating it. If he's genuinely interested, the mirroring will be consistent and immediate. If he's not, his body language will remain independent. It's also important to understand what mirroring is not. It's not mimicry or mockery. It's subtle, natural, and unconscious. He's not copying you in an obvious way. He's synchronizing with you in a way that creates harmony and flow. Here's another crucial aspect. Mirroring works both ways. When you're interested in him, you'll likely mirror him too. This creates what researchers call behavioral synchrony, where two people move in harmony like a well-rehearsed dance. This synchrony is actually a predictor of relationship success. Studies show that couples who exhibit high levels of behavioral synchrony report greater relationship satisfaction, better communication, and longer-lasting partnerships. There's also a neurochemical component. When we mirror someone we're attracted to, our brains release oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone. Oxytocin increases feelings of trust, connection, and emotional warmth. So not only does mirroring indicate interest, it actually deepens the connection through neurochemical bonding. Let me share one more powerful example. Linda, a 68-year-old retiree, was having dinner with George, a man she'd met through a mutual friend. Throughout the meal, she noticed something extraordinary. When she picked up her water glass, he reached for his within seconds. When she placed her napkin on her lap, he did the same. When she rested her chin on her hand while listening, he mirrored the gesture. At one point, she tested it by casually brushing her hair back, and within moments, he ran his hand through his hair. The synchronization was so consistent that Linda felt like they were in their own bubble, moving to a rhythm only they could hear. After dinner, George walked her to her car and said, "I don't know what it is about you, but when I'm with you, everything just feels right, like we're on the same wavelength." He didn't realize that his body had been broadcasting that message all evening. This is the power of sign number 4. While words can lie and conscious gestures can be controlled, the body speaks truth. When a man's body mirrors yours at that 83% level, when you can see the synchronization happening naturally and consistently, you already have him. His nervous system is literally tuning itself to yours, creating a biological and psychological bond that words haven't even caught up to yet. Sign number 5. He asks deep questions about your life. The 5th sign that you already have him is that he asks deep, meaningful questions about your life, your past, your thoughts, your dreams, and your feelings. He's not satisfied with surface-level small talk. He wants to know you, really know you, at a soul-deep level. There's a profound difference between casual interest and genuine curiosity. Casual interest asks, "How was your day?" Genuine curiosity asks, "What moment today made you feel most alive?" Or, "What's something you've been thinking about lately?" Casual interest accepts one-word answers. Genuine curiosity asks follow-up questions, digs deeper, explores nuances. When a man over 60 asks deep questions, he's revealing several things about his interest in you. First, he values emotional intimacy, as much as or more than physical attraction. He wants to connect with your mind, your heart, your essence. Second, he's investing in understanding you because he sees a future where that understanding matters. Third, he's comfortable with vulnerability because deep questions often lead to deep answers, which require trust and emotional safety. Research from the University of Arizona studied conversational patterns in successful long-term relationships among older adults. They found that couples who engaged in what they called substantive conversations, discussions that went beyond logistics and small talk into feelings, ideas, dreams, and meaningful topics, reported 62% higher relationship satisfaction than couples who stuck to surface-level communication. But here's what makes this sign particularly powerful after 60. By this age, most people have become skilled at surface-level interaction. We can chat about weather, current events, grandchildren, health topics, and activities without revealing anything deeply personal. It's a protective mechanism. We've been hurt, disappointed, or misunderstood enough times that we guard our deeper selves carefully. So when a man moves past that protective barrier and asks questions that require real answers, he's demonstrating trust and inviting intimacy. He's saying, "I want to know the real you, not just the version you show to acquaintances." Let me give you examples of what deep questions look like. He asks about your childhood and what shaped you into the person you are today. He asks about your past relationships, not to judge, but to understand your relationship history and what you've learned. He asks about your regrets and what you'd do differently if you could. He asks about your proudest moments and what achievements truly matter to you. He asks about your fears and what keeps you awake at night. He asks about your dreams and what you still want to experience in life. He asks about your values and what principles guide your decisions. He asks about loss and how you've handled grief. He asks about joy and what makes your heart sing. These aren't first date questions. These are intimacy-building questions. And when a man asks them, he's not just making conversation, he's building a foundation for deep connection. Here's a powerful real-world example. Barbara, a 63-year-old artist, was dating Frank, a retired naval officer. During their third date, Frank asked her something that took her breath away. He said, "Tell me about a moment in your life when you felt completely yourself, completely free. What were you doing and why did it matter?" Barbara found herself sharing a memory from her 20s when she'd traveled alone to Paris and spent an entire day in the Louvre, lost in art and possibility. She'd never shared that memory with anyone because it felt too personal, too revealing. But Frank's question, asked with genuine curiosity and no judgment, opened a door. His follow-up questions showed he was truly listening, truly interested in understanding what made her tick. That conversation shifted their entire dynamic because Barbara realized Frank wasn't just dating her. He was genuinely trying to know her. Now let's contrast this with men who aren't deeply interested. They stick to safe topics. They ask generic questions they might ask anyone. They don't follow up on your answers or dig deeper. They change the subject when conversations get too personal. They talk more than they listen. They share their own stories without curiosity about yours. This surface-level engagement reveals that their interest is casual at best. There's also a listening component to this sign. Deep questions only matter if they're followed by deep listening. When a man asks profound questions and then truly listens to your answers, remembering details, referencing your stories in future conversations, and showing that your words matter to him, that's when you know his interest is genuine. Psychologically, deep questioning serves another function. It creates what researchers call reciprocal self-disclosure. When one person shares something personal, it invites the other person to do the same. This back-and-forth sharing builds trust, intimacy, and emotional bonding at an accelerated pace. A man who engages in this process is a man who's ready for real connection, not just companionship. When a man over 60 asks deep questions about your life, when he listens intently to your answers, when he creates space for vulnerability and authentic sharing, you already have him. He's not just passing time, he's building intimacy, and that intentionality speaks volumes about his long-term interest. Sign number 6, he shows up during difficult times. The 6th unmistakable sign is that he shows up during difficult times, not just the good ones. This is perhaps one of the most revealing signs because it's easy to be present when everything is wonderful. It takes genuine care and commitment to show up when things are hard. By 60, we've all experienced our share of difficulties. Health scares, family crises, losses, disappointments, challenges. Life at this age is full, which means it's also complex. And how someone responds to your difficulties tells you everything about their character and their level of investment in you. When a man who's genuinely interested learns you're going through something difficult, his response is immediate and supportive. He doesn't minimize your struggle or try to fix it with platitudes. He shows up. Maybe that means bringing you soup when you're sick. Maybe it means sitting with you quietly when you're grieving. Maybe it means handling a practical task you're too overwhelmed to manage. Maybe it means just being a steady, calm presence when everything else feels chaotic. Research from the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships studied what researchers call responsive support in older adult relationships. They found that when romantic partners provide responsive support during difficult times, meaning support that's attuned to the specific needs of the person struggling, it strengthens relationship bonds more powerfully than almost any other behavior. In fact, couples who experienced difficult times together and supported each other through them reported stronger, more resilient relationships than couples who only shared positive experiences. Here's why this matters so much. Showing up during hard times requires several things. First, emotional maturity. He has to be comfortable with discomfort, pain, and vulnerability. Second, genuine care. He has to value your well-being more than his own convenience. Third, commitment. He has to see you as someone worth investing in, even when that investment is emotionally or practically demanding. Fourth, stability. He has to be secure enough in himself to be your rock when you need one. Let me share a profound example. Elizabeth, a 69-year-old grandmother, had been casually dating William for about 2 months when she received devastating news. Her daughter had been diagnosed with breast cancer. Elizabeth was overwhelmed with fear and logistics, trying to support her daughter while managing her own emotional turmoil. When she told William, expecting him to politely wish her well and step back, he did the opposite. He showed up at her house the next day with a notebook and said, "Tell me how I can help." Over the following weeks, William drove Elizabeth to visit her daughter, sat with her during chemo appointments when Elizabeth couldn't be there, researched treatment options, and most importantly, held Elizabeth when she cried. He didn't try to fix the situation or offer empty reassurances. He just showed up, consistently and supportively. When Elizabeth's daughter eventually went into remission, Elizabeth realized that William had proven himself in the most important way possible. He wasn't just there for the fun times, he was there for the real stuff. Now, contrast this with men who aren't genuinely invested. When you're going through something difficult, they disappear. They say they'll call and don't. They make excuses about being busy. They seem uncomfortable with your struggles. They change the subject when you mention what you're dealing with. They offer hollow advice but no real support. Their absence during hard times tells you exactly where you rank in their priorities. There's another aspect to this sign that's worth noting. How he shows up matters as much as whether he shows up. Some people show up but make it about themselves. They share their own similar experiences instead of focusing on yours. They offer unsolicited advice when you just need someone to listen. They try to fix things when you just need emotional support. But a man who's genuinely invested shows up in the way you need, not the way he assumes you need. He asks what would help. He listens to the answer. He respects your process. This sign also reveals something about his vision for the relationship. When a man shows up during difficult times early in a relationship, he's essentially saying, "I'm here for the long haul. I'm not just interested in the easy, fun parts. I'm interested in all of it." That level of commitment demonstrated through action is rare and valuable. Psychologically, shared adversity creates bonding. When two people go through something difficult together, when one supports the other through a crisis, neurochemical changes occur. Oxytocin levels increase, creating deeper emotional bonding. Trust deepens because vulnerability has been met with care. The relationship accelerates in intimacy because you've seen each other's full humanity, not just the polished versions. When a man over 60 shows up during your difficult times, offering support without expectation or complaint, when he proves through action that he values you beyond convenience, you already have him. He's not just dating you, he's choosing you, even when that choice requires sacrifice. Sign number 7. He talks about the future and includes you in it. The 7th sign is that he talks about the future and naturally includes you in it. Not in a pressure-filled, premature way, but in a natural, assumptive way that reveals he's already envisioning you as part of his ongoing life. This shows up in subtle but powerful ways. He mentions a concert 6 months from now and says, "We should go to that." He talks about a trip he wants to take and asks if you'd be interested in joining. He mentions a family event next season and assumes you'll be there. He discusses a project or goal and includes you in the planning. He uses we instead of I when talking about future activities. Why is this so significant? Because at 60 plus, the future feels both precious and finite. People don't waste time on relationships that don't have potential. When a man starts naturally folding you into his future plans, he's making a statement about how he sees the relationship progressing. Research from the University of Michigan studied what they called future orientation in older adult romantic relationships. They found that when partners naturally incorporate each other into future planning within the first few months of dating, the relationship is 7 times more likely to develop into a long-term committed partnership compared to relationships where future talk is avoided or vague. But here's the psychological depth of this behavior. Including someone in your future planning requires several cognitive and emotional processes. First, you have to be able to envision a future with that person, which means you're already mentally and emotionally invested. Second, you have to believe the relationship will last, which indicates confidence and commitment. Third, you have to want them in your future, which is a choice and a declaration of value. Fourth, you have to be willing to share your future plans, which requires trust and openness. Let me give you a detailed example. Carol, a 62-year-old librarian, was dating James, a recently retired engineer. About 6 weeks into their relationship, they were having coffee when James mentioned he'd been thinking about converting his garage into a woodworking shop. Without missing a beat, he said, "I figure I'll start the project in spring, and once it's done, maybe we could build that garden bench you mentioned wanting." Carol's heart skipped. She'd mentioned wanting a garden bench once in passing, weeks earlier, but James had not only remembered, he'd included it in his future plans, assumptively including her in those plans. It was a small moment, but it revealed everything. James wasn't dating casually. He was already weaving her into the fabric of his future. Now, there's a crucial distinction here. This is different from love bombing or premature intensity. Love bombing involves excessive, overwhelming future planning designed to manipulate or overwhelm. It's pressure-filled and often feels uncomfortable. What we're talking about here is natural, organic integration. He's not saying, "Let's get married on date 3. He's mentioning activities, events, and possibilities that assume continued connection. It's also important to note that this sign should align with the relationship's pace. If you've been dating for several months, future talk should naturally increase. If you're still in the very early stages, it should be lighter, but still present in subtle ways. Contrast this with men who aren't genuinely invested. They avoid future talk. Their plans are always I statements, never we. They're vague about availability. They don't make concrete plans more than a week or 2 out. They deflect when you mention future events or possibilities. This avoidance of future integration reveals that they're not envisioning long-term potential. There's also a vulnerability component to this sign. When a man includes you in his future plans, he's making himself vulnerable to rejection. You might not feel the same way. You might not want to be included. By putting his vision out there, he's risking emotional exposure. The fact that he's willing to take that risk tells you about his confidence in the connection and his willingness to be emotionally brave. Psychologically, future planning together serves another important function. It creates what researchers call goal alignment. When two people start planning together, sharing visions and coordinating futures, they're building a shared narrative. This shared narrative becomes the foundation of partnership. It transforms two independent lives into an interconnected journey. There's also neurological reinforcement happening. When we talk about future plans with someone we care about, our brains release dopamine, the pleasure neurotransmitter. This creates a positive association between that person and feelings of excitement and anticipation. The more we engage in future planning together, the more our brains wire us to associate that person with positive future possibilities. When a man over 60 naturally includes you in his future plans, when he uses we instead of I, when he makes assumptions about your continued presence in his life. You already have him. He's not keeping his options open or waiting to see how things develop. He's already decided you're part of his story, and he's building accordingly. Sign number 8. He seeks your opinion and values your input. The 8th sign is that he actively seeks your opinion and genuinely values your input, even on matters that don't directly involve you. He treats you as a partner whose perspective matters, whose wisdom is worth considering, whose judgment he trusts. This shows up in various ways. He asks for your advice on a family matter. He consults you about a decision he's making. He values your perspective on a problem he's facing. He incorporates your suggestions into his plans. He acknowledges when your insight changes his thinking. He seeks your input not as a formality, but because he genuinely wants to know what you think. Why is this so revealing? Because at 60 plus, most people are fairly set in their ways. They've made countless decisions, solved numerous problems, and developed their own frameworks for navigating life. For a man to actively seek and value another person's input at this age demonstrates several powerful things about his regard for that person. First, he respects your intelligence and judgment. He sees you as an equal, not someone whose opinions are merely tolerated, but someone whose perspective adds value. Second, he's comfortable sharing his life with you, including the complicated or vulnerable parts that require decision-making. Third, he's willing to consider changing his mind based on your input, which requires intellectual humility and emotional openness. Fourth, he's already treating you as a partner, someone whose role in his life extends beyond companionship into genuine collaboration. Research from the Journal of Marriage and Family studied decision-making patterns in successful older adult relationships. They found that couples who regularly consulted each other and valued each other's input, even on individual matters, reported significantly higher relationship quality. This pattern of mutual consultation created what researchers called interdependence without dependence, meaning both people maintained autonomy while still valuing the partnership perspective. Let me share a powerful example. Diane, a 65-year-old former nurse, was dating Paul, a retired businessman. About 3 months into their relationship, Paul's son approached him about investing in a new business venture. It was a significant amount of money and a complicated decision. Paul, who'd successfully run his own business for decades, could have easily made the decision independently. Instead, he invited Diane to dinner and walked her through all the details. He asked what she thought. He valued her questions. When she raised concerns about certain aspects of the deal, he took them seriously, saying, "You're seeing angles I missed. This is exactly why I wanted your perspective." Diane realized in that moment that Paul wasn't just sharing information. He was actively partnering with her on important life decisions. That level of inclusion and respect told her everything about how he saw her role in his life. Now, let's contrast this with men who aren't genuinely invested. They make decisions without consulting you. They share information about their lives but don't seek your input. They dismiss your opinions or act like they're humoring you when they ask. They make it clear that their decisions are theirs alone, and your perspective is peripheral at best. This exclusion reveals that they see the relationship as compartmentalized, not integrated. There's another important dimension to this sign. How he responds to your input matters as much as whether he seeks it. Some men ask for opinions but then argue with every suggestion or become defensive. But a man who genuinely values your input listens openly, considers seriously, and acknowledges the value you've added, even if he ultimately makes a different choice. This sign also reveals his vision of partnership. When a man seeks your opinion on matters big and small, He's essentially treating you as his partner already, even if the relationship is still relatively new. He's demonstrating that he values the collaborative aspect of relationship, that he sees the value in having a trusted person to navigate life with. Psychologically, this behavior creates reciprocal respect. When someone values your opinion, you're more likely to value theirs. This mutual respect becomes the foundation for healthy communication, conflict resolution, and long-term compatibility. There's also a trust component. Seeking someone's opinion requires trust that they have your best interests at heart, that they'll be honest even if it's not what you want to hear, and that their judgment is sound. When a man extends that trust to you, he's revealing his confidence in you and in the relationship. From a neurological perspective, collaborative decision-making releases oxytocin in both people. The act of consulting each other, sharing perspectives, and working through decisions together creates bonding at a biological level. It transforms what could be individual processes into shared experiences, deepening connection. When a man over 60 actively seeks your opinion, values your input, incorporates your perspective into his decision-making, and treats you as a trusted advisor whose wisdom matters, you already have him. He's not just enjoying your company, he's integrating you into the most important aspects of his life and treating you as a genuine partner. Sign number 9. He's comfortable with silence and stillness. The 9th sign might seem counterintuitive, but it's profoundly revealing. He's comfortable with silence and stillness when you're together. You can sit quietly without the pressure to fill every moment with conversation, and that silence feels peaceful, not awkward. This is a sign that's often overlooked, but incredibly important. In the early stages of dating, there's often nervous energy, a compulsion to keep conversation flowing, to avoid uncomfortable silences. But when a man is genuinely comfortable with you, when he's emotionally present and content, silence becomes okay. More than okay, it becomes enjoyable. Why does this matter? Because comfortable silence indicates deep ease and authentic connection. When we're anxious or unsure around someone, silence feels threatening. We rush to fill it because we're uncomfortable with the space. But when we're genuinely at peace with someone, silence is just another form of being together. Research from the University of Virginia studied silence in intimate relationships and found something fascinating. They discovered that couples who reported being comfortable with silence together also reported higher levels of emotional intimacy, greater relationship satisfaction, and stronger feelings of being truly known by their partner. The ability to be silent together correlated strongly with relationship depth. But let's explore the psychology deeper. Comfortable silence requires several things. First, self-assurance. He has to be secure enough in himself and in the connection that he doesn't need constant validation through conversation. Second, presence. He has to be genuinely present with you, not distracted or mentally elsewhere. Silence with someone who's mentally absent feels lonely. Silence with someone who's fully present feels intimate. Third, acceptance. He has to accept you and the relationship as is, without needing to perform or impress constantly. Let me share an example that beautifully illustrates this. Helen, a 66-year-old widow, was dating Arthur, a retired professor. They'd gone for a walk along a beach boardwalk and stopped to watch the sunset. They sat on a bench for nearly 20 minutes, barely speaking, just watching the sun drop below the horizon. Helen found herself marveling at how peaceful the silence felt. There was no pressure to comment, no awkwardness, just shared presence. When they finally stood to leave, Arthur simply smiled at her and said, "That was perfect." Helen realized that the silence had been as meaningful as any conversation they'd had, because it revealed complete comfort and genuine connection. Now contrast this with men who can't tolerate silence. They constantly talk, filling every pause with words. They seem uncomfortable when conversation lags. They pull out their phones during quiet moments. They create noise to avoid stillness. This discomfort with silence often reveals anxiety, insecurity, or superficial connection. There's also a vulnerability aspect to comfortable silence. When we're silent with someone, we're not hiding behind words. We're just being. That kind of unguarded presence requires trust and emotional safety. A man who's comfortable being silent with you is a man who trusts you with his unfiltered presence. Psychologically, comfortable silence also indicates what researchers call secure attachment. People with secure attachment styles are comfortable with both intimacy and independence. They don't need constant reassurance or interaction to feel connected. They can be present without performing, close without clinging. When a man demonstrates this kind of secure, peaceful presence, it's a very positive sign. There's a neurological component too. When we're with someone we're deeply comfortable with, our nervous systems regulate, heart rates synchronize, breathing patterns align, stress hormones decrease. This physiological harmony creates a sense of peace that doesn't require words. It's body-to-body communication that transcends verbal interaction. Comfortable silence also creates space for deeper connection. Sometimes the most intimate moments happen in quiet. A shared glance, a gentle touch, a moment of mutual understanding that doesn't need explanation. These silent moments often become the memories we treasure most. When a man over 60 is comfortable with silence in your presence, when you can be together without the pressure to constantly entertain or engage, when stillness feels peaceful rather than awkward, you already have him. He's not performing for you, he's simply being with you. And that authenticity is one of the most beautiful signs of genuine connection. Sign number 10, he defends you and your interests. The 10th and final sign is that he defends you and your interests. Even when you're not present, he stands up for you, advocates for you, and protects your reputation and well-being. This is a powerful sign because it reveals how he thinks about you when you're not around. It's easy to be supportive to your face. It's character that determines whether someone supports you behind your back. This sign shows up in various ways. If someone speaks negatively about you, he defends you. If there's a misunderstanding that could reflect badly on you, he clarifies the truth. If someone tries to take advantage of you, he intervenes. If your needs or preferences are being overlooked, he advocates for them. If your reputation is being questioned, he vouches for your character. Why is this so significant? Because defense and advocacy require courage, loyalty, and genuine care. He has to value you enough to potentially create conflict or awkwardness to protect you. He has to prioritize your well-being over social comfort. He has to see your honor and happiness as his responsibility, not because he has to, but because he wants to. Research from the Journal of Social Psychology studied what they called third-party advocacy in romantic relationships. They found that when partners actively defended and advocated for each other, especially in situations where the other person wasn't present to defend themselves, it created powerful relationship security. The partner who was defended felt valued, protected, and prioritized, which deepened trust and emotional bonding. Let me share a powerful example. Ruth, a 64-year-old executive, was dating Kenneth, a retired engineer. At a dinner party with Kenneth's friends, one of his longtime buddies made a dismissive comment about Ruth's career, implying that executive women were difficult to be in relationships with. Kenneth immediately spoke up, saying firmly, "That's not only inaccurate, it's disrespectful. Ruth's accomplishments are impressive, and her success is something I admire, not something that makes her difficult. I'd appreciate you not making assumptions about her or generalizing about successful women." The conversation moved on, but Ruth, who'd overheard the exchange from across the room, was deeply moved. Kenneth had defended her without knowing she'd heard, which meant his defense was genuine, not performative. He'd risked social awkwardness with an old friend to stand up for her dignity. Now contrast this with men who don't defend you. They stay silent when you're criticized. They laugh along with jokes at your expense. They allow others to disrespect you without consequence. They prioritize social harmony over your dignity. This failure to defend reveals that you're not a priority, that your well-being is less important than their comfort. There's another aspect to this sign worth noting. Defense doesn't mean he's combative or controlling. Healthy defense is about respectfully standing up for your dignity, not about being aggressive or possessive. A man who's genuinely invested defends you appropriately, respectfully, and effectively. This sign also reveals his public commitment to you. When he defends you in front of others, he's making a statement. He's saying, "This woman matters to me, and I won't tolerate disrespect toward her." That public declaration of value and protection is significant. Psychologically, knowing someone has your back creates deep security. It's one of the fundamental building blocks of trust. When you know that someone will stand up for you, defend your interests, and protect your well-being, even when it's inconvenient or uncomfortable for them to do so, you can relax into the relationship. You don't have to be constantly vigilant or self-protective because you have a partner who's watching out for you. There's also a reciprocal element. When someone defends you, you're more likely to defend them. This mutual protection creates a partnership fortress, a safe space where both people feel valued and protected. From a neurological perspective, feeling protected and defended triggers oxytocin release and decreases cortisol, the stress hormone. This creates a biological sense of safety and bonding. Our nervous systems literally calm down when we know we're protected and valued. Defense also extends to defending your time, energy, and boundaries. A man who's genuinely invested won't just defend you from external criticism. He'll also respect and defend your needs. If you need time alone, he defends that boundary. If you're overwhelmed, he defends your energy by taking things off your plate. If someone is demanding too much of you, he helps you maintain healthy limits. When a man over 60 defends you and your interests, when he advocates for your well-being, when he stands up for your dignity even when you're not present to witness it, when he makes it clear that your honor and happiness are important to him, you already have him. He's not just a companion, he's a protector and advocate who sees your value and is willing to defend it. Understanding what all these signs mean together. Now that we've explored all 10 signs, let's talk about what they mean when you see them together. Because here's the truth, any single sign in isolation could be coincidence, politeness, or temporary interest. But when you see multiple signs, especially signs 4 through 10, consistently over time, you're not witnessing coincidence. You're witnessing genuine, deep interest. These signs together paint a picture of a man who is emotionally invested, future-oriented, respectful, protective, and committed. He's not just casually dating, he's evaluating you as a long-term partner. He's not just enjoying your company, he's actively integrating you into his life. He's not just attracted, he's genuinely interested in building something real. What makes these signs particularly reliable is that they're behavioral, not verbal. Words are easy. Anyone can say they're interested. But behavior reveals true intent. And when a man's behavior consistently demonstrates these signs, his actions are speaking louder than any words could. There's also cumulative power in these signs. Each one builds on the others, creating a pattern of care, respect, and commitment. When he remembers details and makes time and introduces you to his inner circle and mirrors your body language, and asks deep questions and shows up during hard times and includes you in his future and values your opinion, and is comfortable in silence and defends you, that's not random. That's a man who has decided you're important, you're valuable, and you're worth investing in. It's also important to trust your gut. If you're seeing these signs but something still feels off, pay attention to that. Trust your intuition. But if you're seeing these signs and it feels good, feels right, feels reciprocal, trust that too. These signs are reliable indicators, especially when they appear together consistently. Remember, healthy relationships at this age should feel good. They should add to your life, not complicate it. They should bring peace, not chaos. They should feel natural, not forced. And when you're with the right person, these signs won't feel like a checklist you're evaluating. They'll just be the natural expression of genuine care and interest. We've covered a lot of ground today, and I hope this deep dive into the signs that you already have him has given you clarity, confidence, and tools to evaluate the relationships in your life. Let's do a quick recap of what we discussed. Sign number 1, he remembers the details. Not just the big things, but the small, personal, meaningful details that most people forget. His brain has decided you're worth remembering. Sign number 2, he makes time consistently. He doesn't just squeeze you in when convenient. He rearranges his life to prioritize you. His actions reveal your importance. Sign number 3, he introduces you to his inner circle. He's integrating you into his life, publicly declaring your significance and seeking validation from the people who matter most to him. Sign number 4, the 83% sign. His body language mirrors yours in ways he cannot consciously control. His nervous system is literally synchronizing with yours, revealing deep neurological attunement and attraction. Sign number 5, he asks deep questions. He's not satisfied with surface-level knowledge. He wants to understand your essence, your past, your dreams, your authentic self. Sign number 6, he shows up during difficult times. He doesn't just enjoy the good moments. He supports you through the hard ones, proving his commitment through action. Sign number 7, he talks about the future and includes you in it. He's envisioning a continued relationship, planning accordingly, and inviting you into his vision of what's ahead. Sign number 8, he seeks your opinion and values your input. He treats you as a trusted advisor and genuine partner whose perspective matters and whose judgment he respects. Sign number 9, he's comfortable with silence. You can be together without constant conversation, and that stillness feels peaceful and intimate rather than awkward. Sign number 10, he defends you and your interests. He stands up for you, advocates for your well-being, and protects your dignity, even when you're not present to witness it. When you see these signs together consistently from a man over 60, you're not seeing casual interest. You're seeing genuine investment. You already have him. He may not have said the words yet, but his behavior is broadcasting the message loud and clear. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you experienced any of these signs in your own relationships? Which sign resonates most with you? Have you noticed the mirroring behavior, sign number 4, in your own dating experiences? Share your stories in the comments below. This community thrives on shared wisdom, and your experiences help other women navigate these waters with greater confidence. If you found value in this video, if something clicked for you, if you learned something new about male behavior or relationship psychology, please show your support. Hit that like button. It truly helps this content reach more women who need to hear this message. Share this video with a friend who's dating or who might benefit from understanding these signs. Your sharing could be the gift that transforms someone's perspective on their relationship. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the Heart Code. We release new content every week, diving deep into relationship psychology, emotional intelligence, and navigating love after 60. Click that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. We're building something special here, a community of wise, empowered women who refuse to settle and who understand that the best relationships are built on knowledge, self-respect, and genuine connection. Here's something else. If you really want to support the growth of this channel, if you want to help us continue creating this in-depth, research-backed content, consider leaving a super thanks. Your financial support, no matter the amount, directly enables us to invest in better research, better production quality, and ultimately, better content for you. Every super thanks contribution is deeply appreciated and directly supports our mission of empowering women through education and insight. Remember this: you are worthy of genuine interest. You are worthy of a man who demonstrates his care through consistent action. You are worthy of someone who sees your value and treats you accordingly. And you have the wisdom and experience to recognize the difference between hollow words and authentic commitment. Don't settle for breadcrumbs. Don't accept inconsistency. Don't convince yourself that minimal effort is enough. You've lived too long, learned too much, and earned too much wisdom to accept anything less than genuine, demonstrated, consistent care. And here's the beautiful truth. When you recognize these signs in a man, when you see his behavior aligning with genuine interest, when you feel the reciprocal connection and mutual respect, you can relax into it. You don't have to play games, test him, or hold back artificially. You can be authentic, open, and present because you're with someone who's showing up authentically for you. This is the gift of dating at 60+. We know ourselves. We know what we want. We can recognize genuine care when we see it. And we have the confidence to walk away from anything less, and the wisdom to embrace something real when it presents itself. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. Thank you for being part of the Heart Code community. Thank you for your engagement, your comments, your shares, and your support. You make this work meaningful, and I'm honored to be on this journey with you. Until next time, remember your worth, trust your wisdom, and never settle for less than you deserve. You already have everything you need to recognize genuine love when it appears. Now you just need to trust yourself enough to believe it. I'll see you in the next video. Take care of yourself and keep your heart open to the possibilities that await you.